I'm here today with Dr. Brantlee Richter, a member of the Academy of Distinguished Teaching Scholars and Teacher of the Year for the 2015-2016 academic year. And we are going to ask a few questions.
Okay.
First, I would really like to know, and this is probably a very funny question, but have you always been an excellent teacher? Or was there really like a learning curve to this?
I would not call myself an excellent teacher. I think that's like one of those Murphy's Law things. You know, as soon as you start thinking of yourself as having achieved some measure of goodness, much less excellent, you're about to like get sucked in by the undertow somehow. So no, I wouldn't even say that I'm anywhere close to that benchmark yet, and I'm not sure I ever will be. But I will say that I came to teaching with a few kind of benefits already behind me. I would say that I have, if you ask my mother, she would probably say that I've always been a good communicator. I've always had good kind of verbal skills, oral skills, getting a point across, making an argument, and I've never been frightened of getting up in front of people. And so I think that those are two things that I came into teaching with that have served me very well, that have been a very strong advantage, that help. That they get you partway there, certainly in a classroom situation, especially in kind of the traditional lecture type situation where you're in front of the class and you've got to communicate something and you have to be able to think on your feet. And I think that those are skills/talents that are very helpful to start with. However, I would say that they only get you a little bit of the way there towards being actually a good teacher, much less an excellent teacher. Whatever you show up to the game with, you really have to be able to leverage it to effectively get points across to students, to let students take control of their own learning and to achieve learning. So yes, it's helpful to have some basic lacks of fears, some basic kinds of skills in your toolbox, but I just don't think that, I don't think anyone starts off as a great teacher, and I don't think most of us ever really get to the point that we're comfortable with that kind of a label. So yeah, awards are a little intimidating actually, because then there's like this label up on your forehead that says, you know, this person is excellence, expect something of them, and yikes. You know, I'm not sure that any of us is really prepared to live up to that.
I think that speaks volumes actually, that part of an excellent or good teacher is the fact that they don't consider themselves that way and they're always striving to make the student experience better. So it's really being focused on it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, that anyone who thinks that they've achieved excellence stops working, and as soon as you stop working, you've lost it. You're no longer communicating, you're no longer thinking, you're no longer working towards making things better, and if you're not working towards making things better, they're just going to get stale, and students will eat you alive, deservedly so.
So do you consider, before our conversation started, you were talking about how every year you redo something for your courses. Is that just part of always trying to create the very best experience for your students, being focused on?
It is. A lot of that comes from feedback throughout the semester, and certainly the feedback at the end of the semester that's more official. But every time you go through a course, you figure out something that might work a little better. You know, get this idea of something that's really going to work, and you go through it, and you're like, maybe. You know, but what if I did this? And that's part of keeping the experience fresh, and part of keeping your own interest in it and your own heart in it. But it's also a continual improvement process, and student groups change. Certainly, you know, on a decade level, students change, expectations change, their experiences have changed, and we need to be responsive to those changes. And then even just from one class to the next, different groups have different personalities and they have different kind of group needs as they come through. And in the first few weeks of a course, you start to feel out what's going to work best or not work best for this group and what are they really after. And a lot of those adjustments happen as you go too. So trying to create a new tool here or a new video there or some kind of new resource to fill in where maybe this group didn't have something the last group did. My teaching philosophy has really kind of evolved and solidified into an analogy. And that analogy is the teacher as trail guide. And I really think that this works well for me, especially as I think about my approach to classes and to students, that an instructor is a trail guide. And you're a trail guide because you know the trail, because you've been down it 10 times, 100 times. You've been down that trail, you have some experiences with it, you have some knowledge about it. And your job as the trail guide is to get this group of explorers through the expedition. Get them from point A to point B over there, hopefully safely, hopefully with no major injuries along the way. And your job also is to create the best possible experience for the people on the expedition. And just like in the classroom, every group going on an expedition is going to be different. So it doesn't matter if you've been down this trail 100 times before, every experience is unique because every group that you're taking down is unique. And then even within the group, you're also going to have a wide range of needs and expectations. And so if you're taking a group down an actual physical trail, you're going to have some who are more physically fit than others. Some who are going to have difficulty just navigating the trail, who might need extra help and extra support. You're going to have some who have no interest whatsoever in the journey. They just want to get to point B. And that's all they want. They want to be able to say, I made it to point B, I've planted my flag, I can check that off my bucket list and I can go home now. You're going to have some who are totally into the experience. They want to see everything along the trail. They want to soak up the whole kind of wanderlust of the experience. And then you're going to have some who have very, very particular narrow experiences that they're looking for. You have the birders, who they want to stop at every possible spot along that trail, but all they want to look at is birds. They don't care about the lizards, they don't care about the snakes, they don't care about the plants. They just want to count off the birds on their bird list, fill out their log, and go home. So it's the same in a classroom, that you've got this incredibly diverse group of people that you're trying to shepherd through a body of information and knowledge and understanding, and every one of them has unique needs, everyone has unique expectations, they have unique goals for the class, and as a teacher, you are responsible for trying to provide the best possible experience to all of them. And that's where I think that just having communication skills doesn't cut it. You might be able to just point out the things along the trail for those who want to see them, but unless you can be truly receptive to all of those different needs and try to come up with ways along the way to make the experience as good as possible, then you're not really achieving your goals. Considering my role as a trail guide has been helpful in making me more receptive to those different needs and expectations. And that probably comes across to the students, that I really do make a concerted effort to address all the different audiences that are in that one room, and there are a lot sometimes. So for example, I have a class that is an upper division majors class, and most of the people in it are in kind of our department's realm. They're in the plant sciences kinds of realms, biology, botany, plant science majors. But it's a pathology class, and so I also get and invite a lot of students who might be pre-med or pre-pharmacy or health sciences, who they're there because it's the only undergraduate class available on campus where they can actually study pathology and have a lab. And they can isolate pathogens from tissue in the lab. We can't do that with undergrads with human pathogens. but we can with plant pathogens. And so I always get these kinds of smaller groups of students in my class who have very unique, specific needs as we go through. And so, from the onset, I poll the class, I try to find out what everyone is interested in, and I really make an effort all the way through the semester to pull in those special interests. And I think that that's something that thinking about it as a trail guide has really helped with. Different classes have different goals for the students. I have different goals for the students out of my different classes. So, for example, I have an undergrad general education class on fungi. And what the students come out of that class with is, this is kind of an appreciation class. There's like this big thing in the 70s and 80s, the appreciation classes. And I'm a big fan of the appreciation classes. I think there's value in that. There's value in things beyond knowledge. And they come out with a completely different perspective on the world around them. And they get back to me after the semester and they're like, I'm seeing these, I can't stop seeing these things. I'm just walking down the street and I'm seeing things that I never saw before. And that's magical to me. And that's one of the goals of that class. I don't expect that someone's going to come out with a lower division general education class with expertise in the topic. But for them to actually start noticing things and taking an interest in things that they never would have noticed or taken an interest in otherwise is just spectacular. That's what I want for those classes. What I want for my upper division majors is something entirely different. But there's one example for you. My favorite golden nugget is actually stolen. I go to these teaching seminars and workshops, and they're great ways to get new ideas of things to incorporate into my teaching. And I wish I could remember who said it, so I could credit them. But someone said something to the effect of just focus on that one small thing each time you teach a class. And that made so much sense to me, that it's so easy to get overwhelmed with, I have to do everything perfect in this class when you develop a new class, or I have to do everything better this time, or I have all of these ideas for how I could have done that better, and there's no way I'm going to get them all done by next semester. And I think the golden nugget that I would share is just to try not to worry so much about perfection and getting everything you want to do implemented all at once, but keep pecking away at it, keep trying to make those small improvements as you go along, and worry more about being responsive to the student needs than about having the perfect course as you go through.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.